Hi and welcome. My name is Arwen Brook and we're going to get started standing in just a moment. All you need is a hand towel. We're going to use it as a prop between the inner thighs. So I'm rolling this up, but if you have a ball or a block, you're welcome to use that instead. So we'll begin standing as I said, and due to the camera angle, at times you might not be able to see my arms overhead, but we'll be doing most of the work on the mat. Also, my kids are in the other room and you might hear them for a little bit as well, but hopefully you can accept that and enjoy the class. All right, let's get started. And this prop is gonna join us right away. So I've rolled mine up into a little, just sort of squishy bundle. And I'll tuck it between my inner thighs. We're just gonna use it to kind of start to awaken our midline, and that's just always a good idea. And then for the rest of this little warm up, we're just gonna try to get our big muscles warm and get some energy flowing through the body. So when we first start the day, we wake up with a sort of almost like we've gone from a liquid to a solid. We're a little stiffer because of that time in bed. And so we're just gonna bring a little bit more of a liquid quality to our connective tissue. This isn't just foo-foo woo-woo stuff. This is science, but it's just I'm using some really non-scientific terminology. But we're gonna try to sort of hydrate and liquefy those regions to make them move a little bit better. So take your arms on a big circle up to the sky and then reach them back down. Just the simple act of elevating your arms overhead starts to increase blood flow to your heart. So we're gonna just take advantage of that, moving our limbs a little bit more energetically through space, up to the sky, wide on the return, and down. And again, reaching up. And then as you lower the arms, let them pause about shoulder height. We're gonna bring the backs of the hands together in front of us and then spin the palms up as we reach the arms back. We're gonna do that and add a little movement in our spine. Let the shoulders roll open and back and the spine extend, and then flex the spine as you reach forward. Giving your spine now your attention. Move with a little bit of sort of serpentine quality to your spine. Picture yourself not just a mammal made up of water, but maybe a water creature that can swim through the air or swim through the ocean. And then we'll take the arms up and over to this side. We're just gonna flow. So if I'm moving and you're on the opposite side, that's okay. We're just gonna keep moving and breathing, letting the breath come as it will. And then we're gonna start to combine movements. So we're doing side to side here and then pause, and then we're gonna go into flex, extend, and side, side. That's all we're doing. So again, forward, flex, extend, lift the chest, and then go right into the side stretch, each side. And then again, forward and back, side, side, and forward and back, side, side. Now we're going to change it up in a little bit of a similar way with a flow in a circle. So you're going to go forward and back, and then side, stay here, and then take it into flexion. Reach that arm forward, keep that flexion, then switch to the other side, circle the other arm around. We're in our side bend, and then lift the chest. Keep going in that same direction. Flex, side, forward, side, and back. And then just make it now, again, just a little bit more organic. So take out the technical points of stopping in any one location and see if you can get into a rhythm of fluid ease in your shoulders and your spine. If your arms circling overhead or behind you causes you any strain in your shoulders, you can kind of just let them relax by your side. Okay, and now it's time to reverse. So wherever you are, pause and start to roll your spine around in the opposite direction. And to me, this really feels good, but it also can highlight some of the places I'm a little bit more stuck and tight. So go for what feels good. Listen into what feels a little bit tight and stuck. And softening the knees can help a lot to help ease any tension in the low back. We're going to come to the front, stretch into a little sort of half forward bend, and then roll up to standing and roll those shoulders back. Okay, let's take your feet into your awareness. You're just going to stand with the sense of where are my feet in space. Can you just feel for a moment your pinky toe and just sense it without looking at it, without touching it, just kind of sense that it's there, right? So our awareness, where our attention goes, energy flows. Now bringing your attention to your big toe. And we're going to just take, even with the eyes closed, just see if you can feel that it's there, know that it's there. And then let your awareness travel to your inner arches and into your inner ankle bones. And just feel these points in your body for a moment, and then let your attention come up to your inner knee. And then just like a little sort of energetic sort of wind traveling up the legs, you're feeling the energy flow into your pelvic floor and up your spine and right up through the crown of the head. And then we're just going to start to move into squats. You're going to hold that object between your thighs with a little bit of a squeeze and keep feeling that energy up the mid leg, or up the inner leg. And then we're going to fold at the hips and knees and just lower down into a squat and then rise back up to standing. Your arms can do what they need to for the moment. We're just practicing folding through the hips, right at the place where your thighs meet your pelvis. And then let your knees and ankles move too. Let your knees go forward. Let your heels reach back to get that shared action in all of the joints. Taking it all into one is going to sort of overload certain muscles. We want to do it evenly in all. So hips, knees, and ankles all give a little bit. Good. And then we're going to squat into our lowest position, hold, keeping your heels down. Stay there and see if you can just soften your sit bones back a little more. Soften your knees forward a little more. Soften your heels back. You thought you were at your lowest, but you might have just arrived a little deeper. And then place your hands on your thighs around the knee. And you're going to try to find first a neutral spine. And then we're going to keep our pelvis right where it is, as if we're sitting on a little stool. But we're going to tuck the tail under and flex the spine into our cat stretch. And then inhale, reach the chest forward, tail reaches back. Exhale, flex and curl, so we're not bobbing up and down. And then reach your heart forward. And again, flex and round and reach and extend. Play with the range of motion you have in your body, but really feel those big muscles warming up. So with that heat, we get the melting, the thawing out of our cold tissues, and we're just helping to give them that extra melty, loose, and powerful sort of vitality again. And then we'll round one more time and extend, and then reach your arms up, stand up, and then lower the arms by your sides. We're going to take our prop and set it out of the way. And just by having it there, I feel a little activated here. So now we're going to play with a little bit more of that energy flow. So you're going to reach your arms up to the sky, stretch into a forward bend, taking your spine into that big curve, and then allowing at the bottom your knees to get soft. And then from here, with your knees bent as much as you need to, we're going to just use our hands to touch those places, the inside of your big toe. Use your fingers, say hello, and then find your inner ball of the foot where your big toe meets your foot. Just that inner part of the foot that feels weighted, that knuckle. And then bring your hands and fingertips to your arches, just the inner arch, and just give it a little contact and massage. And then draw your fingers to your ankle bones on the inner leg. And then slowly slide your hands up the leg as you curl the tail under and roll up to standing. As you get to the top, your fingertips can come up the center of your body and then reach to the sky, drawing the energy up. Rolling down again, same thing. This time you don't have to pause at the bottom. Just find your inner toes, inner ball of foot, inner arch, inner ankles, and immediately start to curl the tail under. Roll up to standing and throw the energy up to the sky. We'll do that again, rolling down. Contact those inner feet. Slide the hands up. Draw this big, paint an energetic stripe up the inner body and fling that energy up to the sky. We'll do it one more time. Flex the spine. Reach and roll up. And lengthen. And then let your arms just circle back by your sides. And see if you can just feel for a moment all that energy in the inner body just by bringing your attention there and a little touch to help. So let's take a couple more squats. You're gonna fold at the hips and knees, reaching the arms forward, and then rise up. Stay with that connection to your inner legs, feeling the weight a little extra clear along the inner border of your feet, and then feel it sliding up the body as you stand. I'm just gonna add those images, but we'll free the arms. So you're reaching forward as you squat, and then standing up tall. This time you're gonna fold and then pause there. Turn your right palm down, left palm is up. You're gonna press your right arm back, reach your left arm overhead, just as far as it'll go, but still try to keep your palm up, and then switch your palms, switch your arms. So you both of your palms are facing towards the ceiling. And keep going, switch and switch. And see how your shoulder reacts to that. See if you can feel that stretch to each shoulder. Spinning your thumbs to the left and then thumbs to the right. We're gonna try a couple more like that. Drawing those abdominals in, and then make it balanced. Reach your arms overhead and rise up. Okay. So we've done the big muscles of the legs, hips, and a little bit of spinal movement. Now we're gonna move our feet. So you can take your hands to your hips, to the sides of the room, and just rise up onto your toes. We're gonna do that several times, awakening the feet. And now you're paying a little extra attention. You can feel that inner foot, lifting your inner ankles up towards your pelvic floor. So we're not wobbling out onto our pinky toe. We've got balance. We're not leaving the pinky toe out, but we have some awareness. So now, I know some of our spaces may not be conducive to this, so if you want to just keep doing releve, you can. You can add a little knee bend. But if you're with me, we're gonna take it a little further. We're gonna jump. So use your feet, and you can even pretend, woohoo, you're jump roping. Adding the arms adds a little extra work for your heart, and get, fancy with your jump roping. You can turn around. You can do some tricks. And we'll just do it for 10, 9, 8, do one leg. Yeah. We're warming up those calves. And I don't know where we are in the countdown, but we're gonna go for 3, 2, and 1, and rest. Hooray! Reach your arms overhead and circle back down. Now, last thing before we come down onto the mat, you're gonna sit your butt down a little bit, take a little knee bend, and just play with your pelvic position. And happily, I'm a little bit out of breath because I know I just used my heart a little bit. So we're gonna take our clocking just to help us find neutral. So we've got a sense of organization to the pelvis. And then from there, we're gonna try to keep that as we straighten up so that we don't end up with that extra arch in our low back or any kind of extra tuck. Coming up with just an openness to the front of the hips. And then feel your low abdominals, maybe placing your hands there, and just sense what happens as you take one foot off of the mat. You'll feel something engage. And the more neutral you are, the more sort of balanced that engagement is. That's your core. So, and step down. We're just gonna go side to side. And you've done this before. It's not like it's new, but just kind of add that layer of bringing value to the simple action. Your body knows when you're on one leg, it needs more core support. So we're just gonna take advantage of that and make it a little bit more warming. So you didn't know you were in a jazzercise class today, but we're bringing a little bit of that spirit to our movement. And you don't have to have your knee and elbow touch, but having a little rotation is going to help our obliques come into the party. So whatever movement feels good to you, and if you can, keep it kind of fast. And get those knees as high as they're willing to go on this partly sunny Tuesday. Okay, we're gonna take it for 3, 3, and 2, 2, and 1, 1. And then again, reach, big arm circle up, and lower back down. Okay, we're gonna make our way to the mat. So I'm gonna have you start with your feet on the sort of back end, relative to where you are in space. And then we're gonna take our arms up to the sky and really find our inner line from the inner big toe up through the low belly, and then flex through the spine to take us down. When you arrive, letting your knees be bent, you're going to start to crawl your hands forward, and you're moving all the way out into your plank position. Hold there, and see if you can still awaken that inner line. Big toe, ankles, pelvic floor, low abdominals. And then we're going to keep our knees low, bend the knees, crawl the hands back, find our little squat. Yours may look different than mine. You could be up here, but if your knees and ankles are okay with it, you can be here. And just pause for a moment and bring your palms up, shoulders open. We're just going to hover a little bit up and lower down. And hover a little bit up and lower down. And hover a little bit up and lower down. And then place the hands on the mat once more. Come out to hands and knees, but hovering the knees just for a moment. Hover, hover, 3, 2, 1, lower down. Awesome job. So wherever you are, make yourself centered and comfortable for some all fours. We're going to do sternum drops, letting your shoulder blades slide together, getting squishy around the upper back, like your shoulder blades are two wet, sudsy sponges. And they're just slathering and cleansing that upper back. And then lift and hold. And we're going to go into thread the needle. We'll do 3, and we'll hold the last one. So we're going to move. You're going to reach the top arm, right arm up. Thread the needle, reach, stretch, and go right back up to the sky. Reach, and then thread the needle, slide the arm under, and reach. This one will hold, so thread the needle, land the head and shoulder down, and just rest. Breathe into your back. Let a little bit of energy and heat slowly settle and cool down. And then we're going to lengthen the arm up to the sky and then circle it to the front of the mat and down. Now for the second side, left arm up, reach, open the shoulders, and then thread the needle, come into it, but we're not going to rest down, and then reach right back up and thread the needle under and reach up. Third one will hold, lower down and rest, pause, check to see that your tail is allowed to be lifted, that you can allow the muscles around the tail into the pelvic floor to stretch. While we want strength there, we still want freedom of movement. So let it really loosen and stretch. And then come on back up to the sky, reach, and then we'll circle the hand around and back to the mat. Okay, we're going to take the toes tucked under and just hover the knees a moment. Soften the shoulders down and back, lift your chest away from the floor. And then we're going to hover the hips up and walk our feet towards our hands. At the top of the mat now, or the front, you're just in a forward bend. Knees bent at any level. And we're just going to bend all the way down to bring our hips to the mat. So we're coming to a seated position. And if you don't have it already, we want to have our prop handy. So the first use is going to be for the inner thighs. So towel or ball ready to go. Okay, so you're going to take your feet out in front of you, and there they are, right in front of you, and you're just going to take your hands again and just sort of brush up that inner leg from your inner foot. Take a moment to notice the ball of your foot and that joint of your big toe. So you put weight right there on that big toe mound, and that's where we're talking about. So it's not even just the edge, but underneath that big toe knuckle. So you're going to just take a couple little swipes at the inner leg, inner thighs, to give you that reminder, and then place your feet on the mat in parallel, and maybe your hands behind you. Lift up out of the shoulders, and you're just going to open the knees to the sides and bring them back to the center. And what we're going to feel is how, when our knees open, obviously our inner thighs stretch, but also our feet move on the mat. So you're going to rock to the outer edge of your foot, and then feel this returning spiral of the femurs bring the inner foot to the mat. So that contact with your big toe knuckle, and open And again, spiral to get back to the inner foot. So I'm just trying to help connect our hip to our foot. Related for sure, but it's really nice to be able to feel it. So now you'll take your hands behind your thighs, lift up the chest and hold that position. Just kind of peering out over the end of your mat into the distance, giving your shoulders a chance to activate back and down. Imagine you're trying to elevate your heart more by pulling the shoulders back and down. And then we're just going to take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, curl the tail under and roll yourself down to the mat. Once you're there, you're going to just give yourself a chance to organize so we can get into some bridging. So place your feet in parallel once again. And you're just going to practice the leg position of opening and then rolling back to the center. And opening and rolling back, spiraling the legs in, feeling the inner foot connect down. And then we're going to take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, feel the abdominals draw in, the tail curl under, and we're peeling up into our bridge. At the top, hold, and then breathe in, and on the exhale, roll back down. Just taking a few really kind of carefree bridges to sense into your body, feeling that work, but also feeling that nice massage to the low back. And noticing where you move well, maybe where you're having a little bit less movement happen. And now at the top of your next bridge, stay. Feel as though you're pulling with your heels to bring your hips closer to your heels, reaching your knees out past your toes, and then find your rib cage in the front. Hands can come to the rib cage, and just remind it that it doesn't need to lift. It can drop into gravity. So tail's lifted, ribs are trying to sort of rest back towards the mat. And then right here, we're going to open the knees out to the sides of the foot, and then use our inner thighs to spiral and bring weight to that inner big toe mound. And then open and spiral to the center. And open and spiral to the center. So it's like clamshells on inner bridge. And we're doing it with rotation at the hip, and the foot just is following along. And then one more, come back to the center and hold. Good. And then lift your toes up, all 10 toes. Hold there. And we're just going to take our right leg off of the mat, float it up, and then step it down. And push down into the right foot now to float the left. And set it down. And float. And step. Keep going, alternating sides. And step. And float. And step. We'll do that one more on the left. Landing both feet down. And then rolling your spine to the mat. Now, find your prop. I'm going to tuck it between your inner thighs. I'm going to encourage you to bring it closer to your pelvis than your knee, just to help talk to the legs right where the origin, right? So we're going to start to find our feet in position. And because the prop is a little smaller for me, my feet are coming a little closer together. And then lift your toes and scoop the low belly, curl the tail under, and peel up into your bridge and hold. And this time we're going to come into a little bit of a lower bridge. So your ribs will come down, and you'll feel contact with the back of the ribs, and then curl the tail under and hold. And we're just going to squeeze into our prop and try to find that spiral internally, and then go for little scooping pulses that take our tail a little higher while our spine scoops in, or our abdominal scoop, and our spine sinks a little closer to the mat. So like you're trying to stretch your low back into this nice hammock curve, and imagine a heavy, heavy passenger resting into the hammock right here at the low waist. And 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and then roll down. Okay, and so we'll be doing that one more time without the pulses. You're going to scoop and curl, heavy ribs, peel up about halfway. Make contact with your low back ribs, tuck, and now we're going to roll up onto our toes and then lower the heels down. Toes and down, and toes and down. Last time up, hold, right heel lowers, and then switch. A little running in place on the toes. Try to squeeze into your midline and use your feet drawing towards one another as well to keep you on that big toe mound. And then lift up on your toes and roll down. Awesome job. That's a lot of work around the inner thighs. Hopefully you're feeling that too. Let's keep the prop and take our hands to the back of the head. You're going to slide the shoulders down and float the elbows a little bit forward, and then start to feel that movement that we've found in previous classes in our rib cage, where the bottom of the rib cage tilts down and we just naturally roll up. The head is a passenger, shoulders are low, and then we'll take that a few more times, rounding through the upper back, and then curl up and hold the next one. And we're going to try to combine the curve in our upper back with the curve in our lower back of a bridge. So we're going to scoop the low belly, curl the tail under, and start to peel up. As the hips come higher, we'll naturally roll back a little bit, but not touch down. And then we'll rock the other way. So round the upper body, and we'll let this come down. Still curling the tail under, curl and roll up. So we've made our entire spine into sort of the base of a rocking horse. So we're keeping all this active to flex the spine. And one more time, curling up, and then curling the head, end up with the spine. Hold there. Take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, we're going to scoop the low belly and draw both knees into our chest. If you're feeling like that's a little much on your low back, you can bring the feet to the mat, and we'll go into marching. But for those of you that are feeling safe and strong in this, you're going to try double leg today. So it's just a little extra challenge, but don't take it. Drop the prop and do marching or toe taps if it doesn't feel right. So from here, imagine you're still in that rocking horse curve. In fact, of course you are. And you're going to start to scoop. Your legs are going to move out just a tiny bit and then bring them back in. And your low belly works. Your upper abdominals work too. It's really everything right now. And we're just practicing being in that same curve while taking the legs a little bit away from center, where that's the challenge. And just one more. And then bring your knees in. Let your head and shoulders rest down. You're probably feeling not a lot right now, so you can take a break and give yourself a squeeze and a rock side to side. But I want you to remember all of that in your body as we take the next exercise. So you're going to take your arms back behind you. And keeping your knees close to start, we're going to scoop the belly, curl the tail under, and round yourself up into this little ball. So your tail is actually trying to kind of hover off of the mat. And then from here, we're going to pulse the arms because we're into the hundreds. And then if you feel like it, you might straighten the legs. And if you feel like it, they might start to lower. But just like in the last exercise, they're only going as far as you can maintain that curve through the back body. And it should feel like a ton of activation here, nothing in the low back. If you have your feet on the mat, that's totally acceptable too. And we'll just take 2 more breaths. We'll start with the 50s today. And one more breath. Keep lengthening out through the back of the neck and head, and then bend your knees in and rest your head and shoulders down. Whew. Okay, let's take that prop from between the thighs. Set it where you can still reach it. And then we're going to take let's do our roll-ups first. So you're going to take your hands behind your thighs and just give yourself a little assist, rock, roll up. Okay, we'll start with bent knees. In fact, change of plans. We'll use the prop for a little longer. Ball or towel, wherever you had it before. And you're sitting up tall with bent knees. Reach the arms up. Squeeze into your towel. Feel that connection with your inner foot and begin to roll down. All the way to the mat. Arms stretch back and then reach through the fingertips and come back up. Taking any assist you need to, using the sides of the legs as you need to. If you're working at home and you have a TheraBand, you might lasso your feet if you feel like you're having a hard time getting up. Okay, and then we'll take it down one more time and then make your way up to transition on. We're going to take our feet off of the mat and find our balance point. Take your hands from the back of the thighs. They can stay there if you like. That gives us a more open ball, or to the shins. And you're going to pull your abdominals back from the ball. Push your knees out and pull your shoulders back. So you're this super active ball that's about to burst. And you're going to just roll back just to your shoulders and come back up. I'm demonstrating a pretty open ball. And if that feels good to you, keep it. You could tighten your ball, getting the legs in a little closer. That requires more flexibility in the spine. If it doesn't have it, you're going to have the clunk. So if you're not enjoying rolling like a ball, you can just do more slow motion roll downs. We're just going to do 2 more and 1 more, and then pause at the top and balance. Now we need to remove our prop, and we're going to take our right leg out to a long diagonal. Moving into single leg stretch. Curl the tail under, start to roll down. This one is all about control from those abdominals and the limbs. Hold there, breathe in. You're in that rocking horse shape again. And then scoop to switch. And scoop to switch. And scoop and lengthen. We're working quite a lot in those deep abdominal muscles. So stay with me. We're almost done with this challenge. We're going to go with left leg in, right leg in, and then bring the knees in and rest down. Take your feet to the mat. Take your arms by your sides. Walk your feet a little wider, like mat width apart. And then draw your tail under and just take a big bridge. Let it all kind of open out in the front. And then roll back down. And then again, curl and peel up. And roll back down. And now we're going to come up with a flat back. Tone your tummy. Tone this sort of whole trunk into one piece, and we'll just lift it up and fold to come down. Lift and open the hips, and then fold the hips to come down. The rib cage stays sort of in line with the rest of the spine, so it's going to tilt and tilt down. And you'll tilt up and tilt down. Then we're going to come up and hold the next one at the top and go into our jumbo hip dips. So the right hip comes all the way down to the mat and back up. Left hip all the way down and back up. And just let this get really juicy. You're sort of wringing out the hip joints and the spine. And one more each side. And then take your hips up. Take your arms all the way back behind you. And then scoop and roll down. Take your left ankle over your right knee and hold on behind that right thigh. Draw your legs towards you, but just as far as it feels safe, and flex that left foot so you've got the ankle activated to help you stretch. We're going to just stay for a moment and really let all that heat we generated in our movement help us to continue the melting process of any of the stuckness in the glutes in that region. So right around your low back, your glutes attach, and they have such a powerful relationship. So we're really tending to your back at the same time by stretching out your hips. And then take your hips a little bit over to the right just to help invite the stretch a little bit further over to one side, giving it some different muscles, fibers to stretch. And then maybe back to center, and we'll unwind. Cross the right ankle now over the left knee and stay for a few moments. Give your shoulders a little reminder to ease off, and your tail can be released towards the earth. Your ankle active again on the right side especially. You might just like to do both to keep it really simple. And then a little bit of a rock over to the left to help balance out your full glute stretch. And just take a few more moments relaxing into it, letting those shifts and changes and flows happen in your body. Okay. From here, we're just going to roll to our side. So I'm going to turn onto my right side to face you, and then position myself. I'm just going to start at the front of the mat. So this is an option that doesn't necessarily have an impact on anything just yet, but it will in a little bit. I'll tell you more when we get there. But I'm just going to lay on my side. My bottom leg is in front for a little kickstand. My top leg is straight in line with my spine. And then I'm going to flex the foot and just lower and lift the leg a few times. And I have my hand on the top hip to help keep the side of my waist from bunching up, right? So that's just where my attention is. Bringing my hand there keeps that long. And then I feel that working a little bit more powerfully down the hips. So that's where we're trying to find it. And then take that into small circles. So like the size of a Pilates magic circle or smaller. And then reverse your direction. Good. And then bring the top leg forward and fold it onto the mat in front of you. And your bottom leg is going to move now. So you're going to try to really draw down on that right hip, or top hip, I should say, and then lift and lower the bottom leg, connecting into your inner thigh. If your knee coming all the way to the mat pulls you forward in a way that really twists your body, then you can prop your knee, put it up on that ball or your block or a towel. And then stay with this and try turning your knee a little bit up towards the ceiling, a little internal rotation to sweeten the deal. Keep going, and we're going to go for another like 10 or so, because that's really where the good stuff is at. So we'll say we're at 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then rest the leg down. Okay, we're going to come back to do bananas, but first we're going to roll onto our tummy and take our quad stretch. I've already preached a lot about stretching your quads, but in case it's helpful, we're just going to really make sure we know what we're doing here. Our quad muscles are big and strong, and they are big workers. So when they're tight, they also can really contribute to some of the stress and strain on our knees and our backs. So stretch for your knees, stretch for your backs, stretch for walking around with a little bit lighter, sort of skipping your step. When your muscles aren't fighting each other, you feel lighter. You actually walk around like you weigh less. It just feels better in your body, that extra efficiency. So let's all skip out of class today. Drawing your heel close to your booty will stretch your quads more. If you want to kick your foot away from you for a little spell too, that's going to activate your quads and open up your hip a little bit more. So both intentions are good. And then release the foot. And we're going to do a sort of odd flow today. So you're going to come up onto your elbows, and you're just going to start with your shoulders rolled down and back, lifting your heart and lift your low abdominals. So you're trying to bring your ASIS away from the mat. Step your feet onto your toes for a moment. Walk your thighs close together. Reset with your toes pointed. And then you're just going to flex your left foot and bring your heel towards your booty and hold. Lift your belly more. See if you can lift your bottom ribs. And you're just going to kick for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Awesome job. We're going to roll to our other side now. So for me, I'm going to turn right around so I can see you. And for you, you can do the same or roll over. Okay, so outstretched arm supports our head. Bottom leg is out in front. Top leg is straight out in line with the rest of our body. And we're going to hover and lower. And I like the bottom foot out of the way so your leg can continue down past the level of your hip, crossing your midline, and then rise up from there. And my hand again holds the hip, keeping it nice and still, keeping that sense of length to the top side of my waistline, and then hold there and circle. And then reverse your direction. And again, we are going to feel heat in our joint, but that's good. It's going to help to, again, liquefy tight spots and help to remind certain parts how they're capable of moving. And then take your top knee and fold it in front of you and reach your bottom leg long, and we'll lift that bottom leg. Keep reaching that top hip down towards the foot end of your mat, and just find that sense of length. Even while you're doing something kind of simple and small like this, can your whole body take on a little bit of an extra long, spacious alignment? So you're not just kind of surrendering to your patterns. You're elongating and creating space. And then turn your kneecap up towards the ceiling and continue. And just, again, appreciate the work of these muscles, because they're the ones that really support us in balance and keep us kind of in that sense of ease when they're working. And so we're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then rest. All right, we're gonna roll to our tummy again, stretch our other quad. So you've heard the spiel. Take the foot, support your forehead on your hand, and then really engage down into the mat first. Press your pubic bone down, and then lengthen the knee out from the hip. So you're trying to grow your leg longer as you stretch. And again, keeping the heel close is going to feel one way, and it's a good practice. And then kicking the foot out has another value and good practice. So try a little bit of time in each position wherever you are. Switch if you need to. And then we'll release and come up to our elbows. So on our elbows, toes tucked under, get your thighs close. Point the toes, lift the heart, shoulders draw down and back, lift the low belly. Now flex the right foot, and you're going to bring it towards your booty. But as your heel lifts, see if you can still lift your low belly, lift your as-is in your bottom ribs, and then kick for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen out. Now we're going to alternate. We're going to go left for 2. 1, 2, and reach. And 1, 2, and reach. And again, the left, and reach, and right, and reach. Keep the low belly lifted. Reach, and reach. One more on the left, and reach. One more on the right, and reach. Awesome job. Reach your arms back by your sides, palms up. Let your legs come apart, toes turned out. Reach your shoulders back, your heart comes forward and up, and you're just going to continue to reach and lift. Reach through your toes. Imagine your legs are just growing longer over the surface of the floor, and then spiral your right shoulder back and gaze to your right. And then spiral your left shoulder back and gaze to your left. And switch. Again, just turning, imagining you're flying through the air and just soaring side to side. And last one, come center, circle your arms overhead to the mat, and then rest down. Take your body into as long of a line as you can with your arms overhead and your legs outstretched, your forehead resting on the mat. Breathe into your back body. Just relax into that, finding length. And then you can slide your hands in and help yourself onto your side. So, I appreciate that some of you may not have the space to just fling your limbs around as freely as I'm going to demonstrate, but I thought I'd invite you to explore this little extra adventurous way of doing side leg kicks. I've taught it in class before, back in the days when we were together, so some of you may remember it. I'm going to demonstrate and you can follow along as you're ready. But all we're going to do is take our leg kicks into a fun transition to the other side. So I've positioned myself towards the front of my mat, and I'm going to demonstrate 3 kicks to the front and back, 2 and back. And then on the third one, I swing the leg up, bring the other leg over, and I roll to my other side. And then I do 3 kicks there, 1 and 2. And on the third one, I just sweep the leg over, and I'm back at the other side. So sometimes people practice this with their hands behind their head, and that just gives your arms a little bit more purpose. You don't have to do that. And if you're just going to do the more traditional side leg kicks, that's also totally fun and good for you. And then on your maybe 10th one each side, you'll switch. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and wee, and 1, and 2, and 3. Yeah, 1, and 2, and 3. I'm going to finish. This will be my last one. 1, and 2, and 3 to the front. If you need a few more to be balanced, please continue. If you're all wrapped up, go ahead and come onto your hands and knees. We're going to make our way to all fours, somewhere near the center of your mat. And then lift up out of the wrists. Find your position. And then we're going to take our right leg into our little scorpion tail. So our belly is still lifted, but our toes are attempting to sort of touch the back of our head. And we're going to accentuate that by reaching the heart forward and allowing the knee to kind of continue the curve of our spine, right? So I'm nowhere near touching my head, but it feels like I am. And then we're going to round the spine, pull the knee towards the nose, hold there, and don't just bring it forward, but try to lift, like lift your shin up off of the floor. Make it a little bit more of a challenge and stretch. And then scorpion, heart forward, touch the back of your head, and then draw the knee in and hover the shin up, and then reach it up and back, and then draw it in and hug it in. Lift, 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 and then land it down. Okay, we're practicing for something. So we're going to take that same thing on the left side, taking your toes towards the ceiling first, and then lifting your heart, lifting your tail to bring the toes towards the back of your head. And then flexing the spine, lift the knee, lift the shin, and make room by lifting through those low ribs even more. And then stretch the heart forward and around. Lift up out of the hands, hover that knee in and up, and then lengthen the leg back. I think we have one more to do, drawing it in. Lift and round, and then let the knee rest down. Okay, so you can take breaks in any of this if you need to, and you can always modify by coming onto your elbows or onto your knees. Okay, so we're going to start in all fours, but we're going to take our hands one handprint forward, like I kind of exaggerated, a big handprint forward, and then we're going to weight shift into our hands and take our legs to straight. We're moving into plank. Holding there, we're going to just come back towards our heels and then squeeze our inner thighs and push out to plank. So it's like jackrabbit on the reformer, moving towards our feet and then towards our hands. Yes, Monica, good. And then taking that plank one more time and holding. Okay, this is a place, if you want to break, take it. If they're okay, keep going. We're going to lift our right foot. And then we're not going to bring our weight back. We're going to stay forward over our hands, bring our knee in, and hover it up. Lift the rib cage. Reach it back. Bring it in, hover that shin up, lift the rib cage. Reach it back. Just one more. Bring it in, hover, lift up, then step your foot back. Left leg, we'll make it quick. Draw that knee in, lift it up. Reach back. Draw it in, lift it up. Reach back. We're getting stronger, and lift it up. Reach back. Take your knees down. Take your hips back. Take a rest. Forehead to the mat. Arms long overhead. Good job, you guys. Really awesome work. You made it through the hardest moments of class. The peak has passed. You're going to bring your hands over to the right side and just let your body stretch out a little more on that first side. And then take your hands over to the other side. Breathe into the side that's long. Take an inflated big breath. Just see how much you can inflate. And then let it all go. And then back to the center. Take your hands in front of you and move into all fours. And then take your knees apart. Nice and wide. Big toes still together. And then you're going to lift your tailbone up, so you're kind of actually like sticking your booty out, and keep it lifted as you rock back towards your heels. So we're not rounding. We might not go as far, but you'll feel a stretch perhaps to your inner thighs and groin, and also perhaps to your pelvic floor in the back. So we're kind of trying to stretch around that tailbone again, opening up a little bit more mobility. So you can melt down if that feels good, but for me, it feels a little bit like I can get a little more weight into the stretch by staying more upright. And then we're going to take our weight forward, bring our knees together, and bring our feet apart. So we're in internal rotation. And we did so much bridging earlier. We did so much, draw it in, that this can just kind of all get a little bit overly grippy. And that's not because we did it, that the strengthening we did wasn't good, but it can be something we add a little extra grip to unintentionally. So we're going to try to make sure we practice releasing. So tail in the air, and then bring your tail back. And for me, this is like as far as I can go before it starts to draw my tail down. But I'm going to just keep reaching the tail back and trying to kind of stretch into it. And you'll feel some of this connective tissue around your sacrum, some of this around your sit bones maybe. And you might not be valuing this very much, but just know that there's something good in it for you. If your knees don't like it, that's another story. If you need to pad your knees or put something behind them, feel free to explore that. And then come forward. We're done with that. Then we'll take our toes tucked under and just take a little hover, an easy bridge or lift up to downward dog. Make your way into the version of down dog that feels best to you. So knees can be bent, shoulders are sliding towards your back pockets, and your head is framed between your arms. And then go through a little running in place, moving through those feet and ankles. And see if you can still feel that energetic sort of tingle from your inner foot up to your inner knee, inner thigh, and run up into your pelvic floor. And then just pause. We're going to take the left leg back, and it doesn't have to go high, but you're just lifting it to create a flow. And then bring your knee forward towards your left hand. So if you did your left foot, your left knee comes towards your left hand, and your left foot comes towards your right hip. So you're in pigeon stretch. If this doesn't feel good in your knee, you get to do another figure 4 stretch. This is essentially the same thing, but with a slightly different angle. And then it also gets kind of nice when you get to melt your spine forward over that front knee. You've done a lot of good, challenging work. So these are some of our little just desserts, giving our body some chances to let some of that power dissipate and move throughout the body. So it's not all accumulated in any one spot. It's kind of nice and just balanced. We'll go with that. And then we're just going to make our way back. So your hands will come back and support you under your shoulders. Your toe will tuck under on the back foot. You'll draw yourself up and back to downward dog. I'm going to lift the left leg just to flow back to where we started. And then the right leg will lift up and then bring that knee forward. This time the knee comes towards the right hand. The foot comes towards the left hip. I'm using my back leg to help kind of shimmy back a little bit, drawing my pelvis back from the knee. Just gives my stretch a little bit more oomph and comfort. You can stay lifted because that gives us more weight into the stretch, dropping down into that hip. And then if you are already there, great. If not, you might want to melt for a moment. Again, just adding that quality of just warming to the body. This isn't about excessive heat, but the kind of heat that really allows the muscles to soften and flow again energetically. And literally hydrating, letting the fluids move. And then bring your hands around shoulder width and under the shoulders to support you. As you come back, tuck the toes under. And we're going to make our way back to downward dog for just a moment. Find your way onto your mat. If you're like me, you've kind of wandered off. Stretch into that position. And then we'll lower the knees down and come to seated and swivel our legs into our Z-sit mermaid position. So, just so I don't lose track, I'm just going to cue as I am. So this is left leg in front, right leg back. And if you're the opposite, that's okay. But we're just going to reach our arms out and we're going to go towards the toe side first. So towards the right as you side bend. Drop that low shoulder. And then we'll take the other side. This side, we're going to lift the hips and go for that big rock star knee slide moment. Stretch out that long side. Okay, so we'll flow once more in each direction. And rock star. Good. And then come back to the start. We'll just swing the legs to the other side. And then take our arms wide. Good. And then we're going this time towards the toes. The other direction, drop that low shoulder. And then flow And rock star. Pause there and really feel all that beautiful length. And then flow right over to the other side. And then we'll come up again, rock star, stretch. Push those hips forward. And then circle and come back to the center. Go ahead and cross your legs. Now for a moment, we're going to take our hands behind our low back. Just reach the arms back. Let the shoulders roll back. And then just let your head fall over to one side. And then drop the chin and roll it across to the other. And mine is not moving very much. Tightness there. And you can roll a little bit back and forth if that feels good. Enjoy all these different moments of stretch. And then come center. And we'll just release the arms, take them up to the sky. Bring your palms together at the top and hover your heart up to meet your hands. And we'll finish there. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had an amazing class experience. Feel free to follow me or subscribe to my channel. You can follow me too on Instagram at arwinbrook_Pilates. You'll get notices there of new classes and new videos, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.